Alan, you saw The Woman King. I saw it earlier this week. It is, I will say about this, it is about the Dahomey tribe in Africa who sold slaves to white slavers. Slavery was kind of a form of barter. It was a form of commerce. I am sure that the true history of this, which I don't know anything about, is somewhat sanitized, but at its, the way it's being marketed, I think is terrible. I think it misrepresents the movie. Yes, it's an action movie, but they're really trying to give almost like a Black Panther kind of Wakanda vibes with it. But it's kind of action movie we have not seen. It's brutal. It's very R-rated to me. I'm pretty sure it's rated R. Alan, can you confirm that?
Yeah.
There are some brutal deaths, but one of the things that they don't tell you, which would have been a better way to market, it's also the trailer, which I thought was awful, has this rap music that's in it. There is no rap music in it. All the music is, it's symphonic. It's a score. There's no rap song at the end even.
Yeah, it's PG-13, and I will say a lot of the violence is off camera.
Well,
a lot of the brutality is off camera.
It feels R. I mean, people get brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some clever cutting, right? It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You think you've seen something, you haven't seen it. And the thing is, it's also at its roots of this story. It's also a mother-daughter story, a mother who lost a daughter, and it's about that coming full circle. I don't want to say much more about it because I want to get your opinion, Alan. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I think it's a solid B movie.
Yes,
B grade. I think what I appreciated about it was the things. I would say the woke and political stuff was what was keeping me from seeing this movie, and it's not there, and I appreciated that. The movie takes place during a specific period of time. These women, these warriors, they were at the service of the king, the man king, and there's talk of independence and being this independent, strong woman, but no, they were there to serve the king. That was their reason. And they bring up stuff like why they can't have families while the male warriors can. And so yeah, I seem to be going through this. It's like I seem to like it more because it didn't go in that direction that you expect Hollywood to go in. But at the end of it, it was like, all right, I saw some pretty good action, but yeah, it's a very tepid recommendation for me.
Well, yeah, I would definitely score it like a B minus. It's a very good action movie that is not served well by its marketing. Viola Davis is fantastic in it. She plays Naniska, she's basically the leader of this group of female warriors. John Boyega plays this King Gesso, and they kind of soften him a lot. The real history, he was brutal. So that's what a lot of people are complaining about. I will say this. I think the complaints about the historical accuracy of this, I don't think they're fair, because I don't expect that out of a drama. I expect it in a book, in a history book. I expect accuracy, and I expect it in a documentary that's about history or true events. I would expect that to be accurate. But in a drama, you're gonna take license, okay? So my expectation, also, just because you're the protagonist doesn't mean you're the good guy, right? I mean, this tribe does their scenes where they sell slaves themselves, right? They're trying to make it out in the marketing, which I think is terrible, that the colonizers are the bad guys. They're
barely in the movie.
They're barely in the movie. The colonizers, so to speak, are barely in the movie. It's really a rival tribe that is the... Alan, where are you going? Is your dog visiting?
Yeah, my dog wants to get out of the room, and now she wants to hang out. So
tell your dog to make up its mind.
No, I know. Yeah, give me a second. Okay. Whoops. My whole setup is now falling apart. Yeah, and also I appreciate the fact that they fought like women. It wasn't it didn't feel like it was an overly choreographed fight scene where, you can just insert anybody. I think you could legitimately say that this is basically the roster of the UFC women's division.
Yeah, they use spears and swords, but they're trying to compare this movie to Gladiator.
No.
They shouldn't, because you'll be disappointed. It's not Gladiator. But it's a type of story we haven't seen. This is what I would like to see more of. I don't want to see race and gender swap stuff. Please, can we just stop that? Can we do new stories? And I think this film deserves credit because, hey, this is a new story, right? And I am curious and would like to know about the real history. I don't expect this movie to teach me real history. Like look back at like any historical figure. They always embellish. They make the story. I mean, RRR. Yes, I am. You can fill out your bingo card. Somebody say bingo. RRR is incredibly exaggerated. The two characters that are based on real historical figures never actually met. They're based on real people, but it's like a superhero story. Might as well be like a Paul Bunyan or something, but this, I don't expect that of it. I feel like this film is being held to a different standard because, well, they sanitized it. Yeah, a little, because they're the protagonists. It doesn't mean they're doing good things. So they touch on it, but I feel like John Boyega, the way they portray him as being very likable, the real person.
As the good king.
The good king. In real life, he's not that. Okay. But, I thought it was very good, and I didn't want to see this movie. I was not looking forward to it. Now, they're already doing this thing. Well, if it doesn't succeed,
you're racist.
You're racist. And it's like, no, if it doesn't succeed, the marketing is terrible. The marketing basically turned me off. It was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that. And yeah, I feel like the marketing was the big failure of this film. If it fails, it's because of the marketing. And it's a very good type of action movie we haven't seen before. My expectation was, based on the trailer, is that this was like an exploitation movie. It was like a blaxploitation movie from the 70s. It would be like in line with that, but like with a bigger scale and a bigger budget. So
honestly, I kind of wish it was. I think I would have bumped the score up if it was. But the other, to your point, though, is this is an African story. And that's what we've been asking for, stories from Africa. And the other thing is, I don't know much about Africa in the early 1800s. And this gives you maybe not the most accurate glimpse of it, but it does give you a glimpse. And, I'm always interested in that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I just, I would say a mild recommendation, like I say, a B. I'm not over the moon, but I was surprised, and it really annoys me that the marketing failed this film. It failed to add the mother-daughter aspect. Yeah. I feel like that would give it universal appeal. Tell the story of a mother and a daughter, and the tragedy of what led to their separation. All of that. That's a universal thing that anyone can relate to. But the way that they marketed this, big mistake. I think it's going to hurt the film.
This movie has broad appeal, and that's what it should have been in the marketing, to say that this is for a broad audience and not for a specific audience with a specific message that's going to tick off the rest of the audience.
Right. Well, I'm surprised it's PG-13, because I really thought some of the stuff that happened, oh, this is R-rated.
Yeah, but it's all off camera and through clever editing.
Well, it is one of those things where if you go back and watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's a masterclass in editing. You think you have seen things. You have seen things in close up. You've seen reactions. You've heard sound. You've never actually seen anything.
Yeah, that's exactly what goes on in this movie.
Exactly. Ragnarok says, we're going to go to comments here. Ragnarok says, Dahomey warriors portrayed as freedom fighters who in real life enslaved, fought to keep slavery, and owned slaves themselves. That's actually in the movie. They do have slaves, and they even use slaves for commerce. So I do think it's a sanitized version of that, but you're right. That's in the movie. You can't
argue it. Yeah,
absolutely. What you're saying, Ragnarok, that's portrayed in the film. There's a conflict between John Boyega's character and Viola Davis's character. She doesn't agree with what they're doing, but it's like, hey, this is how we do business. So
the idea is every time they have a battle, the winner takes the survivors and sells them as slaves.
Yeah, they don't. That's in there. So I'm sure it's not 100% historically accurate, but it is a part of the story. And Toil, in a historical drama, there is a difference between embellishing and telling a story that's the opposite of the truth. These women were not abolitionists. Yeah, but I don't even think I don't know that they even say that in the movie.
Yeah, and I no, they're not abolitionists. And also, this is an action movie, and I don't think
this aspires to be an action movie. It's not trying to be a
social commentary.
There's a little of it, but really, like, it's more than anything, this is just pure action movie that's got in the backdrop of this history. So not the Batman says, hey, now if the woke want realistic things in history, stop being pleasant washed in movies, then they need to be held to the same standards. Okay. Luther Talbert, a member, thank you. This is the kind of movie we have all asked for, but then Mrs. Davis had to open her mouth. So no, I'm not going. Maybe I'm being immature, but I'm tired of actors thinking they can bully the audience. I agree with you on that. If the movie fails, it's because they failed to convey what the real story is, which the trailer misrepresents this film. It misrepresents this movie.
You just feel like, why are these actors going out there ruining their movies? Why not just let the movie stand as it is?
Well,
it's like you're just shooting yourself in the foot when you do stuff like this.
Well, I feel like these actors should watch some YouTube channels, maybe. Excuse me. This movie seems as accurate as Commando was in the 80s. Night says Dempsey. Thanks, Dempsey. Night Train 123. Selling slaves to European was their main source of income. It wasn't just that they had some slaves. That's portrayed in the film.
Yeah, and it's addressed too.
It's addressed. It's a strange trend in marketing, woke trailer on a non-woke movie. That's the opposite of marketing, says Patrick Lemire. You're right about that. It's sort of like, here, look how super woke this is. I saw like the Alamo Drafthouse put out, I thought was fucking awful. They put out this thing like, it was in their email newsletter. The Alamo Drafthouse put out this thing of like, yeah, get back at the colonizers. You'll hold your fist in the air after you see the Woman King. And even the title of this movie, I think, is terrible. It's only really mentioned at the end. It's stupid. It's a stupid title for this movie. It's something that may be tested in marketing, but doesn't even represent the film. And then they had to kind of shoehorn it in at the very end. They shoehorned in like why it's
remember No Time to Die, ironically, with Lashana Lynch. We all thought that female James Bond was coming in, or that we thought it was going to be a super woke movie, and it was far from it. But that's how they marketed it.
It's really terrible, and it's really just pandering to woke journalists. That's what the marketing does. But thank you, Patrick, for that. John Long, last name, is a member. I thought white people were supposed to buy black people tickets and then stand guard against racists during the movie. That's what Alan is going to do this weekend. And Toil. Okay, we already got to that one. Brain Jones, wasn't it written and directed by a white woman? Isn't that racist according to them? I don't know. I know it was directed by a woman. I don't know her ethnicity. But I think here's what's good about this. It creates a conversation about the history, and that's a good thing. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think she's white.
It's not 100%. It's not supposed to be. It's a narrative action movie. It's not supposed to be a documentary. Now, do I want to see a documentary about this? Absolutely. Am I interested in learning about the real history? 100%. That's not what this movie is trying to do. It's not what this movie is trying to do. So Dom, and thank you for your comment, Brain Jones. Dom T, RRR equals a drink. Want Biscuit says the purpose of marketing is to get you to buy something. If they misrepresent the product in order to do that, including triggering you, then it's done its job. Marketing is rarely rooted in truth. Well, that I agree. Brain Jones back with another comment. I still can't get over the fact that they are the Dahomey tribe. Lol, can't make it up. Actually, I never even thought about that until you just said that. Dahomey. I didn't think about it. I did not think about that. And then Johnny Fuerte, Hollywood treats fans like politicians treat voters. Vote for us or you're a bad person. Yeah, it's starting to get that way. Matthew Salcido says, can't wait for the sequel, The Pronoun King. Dempsey says, funnily enough, the only time ever hear about the marketing for the movies is on YouTube from YouTubers. I come to you guys for entertainment news and such, as you should. Thank you for that, Dempsey. And we have our special guest who'll be joining us in about 6 minutes here. I cannot wait to talk to him at the top of the hour. Ragnarok, the Woman King is like making a Nazi movie and making the Nazis somehow decent people. Well, no, I disagree. You can be the protagonist and do bad things. For example, Dexter is the protagonist of the Dexter show, and he murders people. He's a serial killer. Not a good guy, even though who he kills, they're bad guys, right? It doesn't justify. I don't think the movie absolves the. I mean, what do you feel about that comment, Alan?
First of all, they're barely in the movie. They are there, and the
colonizers.
And
at the very end, they kind of throw them in, almost like
and so they're there for a specific role, and they're not there to do decent things. But they're just so shoved back in the back of the movie that there's little nuance you could bring to those characters, nor should you.
Latino slant, Viola, incredible actress. Matthew Salcido for 8 says, in hindsight, are there any woke movies thematically you previously enjoyed before it became mainstream? I don't know. I think there have always been themes, right? I mean, go back and watch the movie Dances with Wolves, right? Or, a lot of movies have themes, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but now it's just the lecturing and the way things are marketed. Yellow Flash 2 is here. Yeah, but Dexter only takes out the trash. Yeah, I pointed that out. Yeah, I mean he's only killing people who deserve to be murdered. But when you're the protagonist, it's like that. What's that meme? Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies? It's just like that. But the Woman King as an action movie succeeds. But there's more to it than that. And this whole trying to make it like the colonizers are the main villains, they actually are not. And I was really appalled at the email newsletter that came, or the way that they're marketing it at the Alamo Drafthouse. But the Alamo Drafthouse is super woke. That movie theater chain is, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But
I haven't been there in a long time, so I wouldn't know.
It just, yeah. In any case, thank you, Yellow Flash. Dr. Death, this movie looks good if they can just keep their mouth shut. People might be able to enjoy it. No doubt.
Yeah. We call those unforced errors. If you would just not talk about it.
Alex C says they marketed it as a true story. They should say inspired by. I agree. But also like, I don't expect to get true stories out of a fake movie, right? Like this is it's not my expectation. I expect it from a documentary, from a news article, from a book. I expect to get truth, but I don't expect it out of a Hollywood movie that is going to dramatize events. We have our special guest will be joining us in just a few minutes, but let's get through these chat questions. And Toyo, how is the action choreography and editing? Exceptional. What'd you think?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, he says, I'm so glad we seem to have gotten past the green grass shaky cam crap. Yeah, it's not shaky cam. It's just, it's great. Lubitch Touch Me says, looks like it's a solid action movie. I don't mind ignoring history as long as the movie itself is enjoyable. Yeah, and then also it's like, sir, this is your entry level in, then go find out the real history. Because the John Boyega's character, definitely not as regal. From what I know about him, just briefly, he was incredibly brutal in real life. Patrick Lemire, I'm surprised they went there. The slave trade was not as it was portrayed in the plagiarized Roots version. It was a black on black crime at its roots. The movie gets into it. The movie gets into that. And there are people that there are characters within this story that don't agree with the things that are happening. Okay. So Dempsey says, it would seem to me that if this movie has a Wakanda vibe to it, that it would make more sense to this make more sense in this movie's setting in the MCU. No, it doesn't make sense. Mainly because advanced civilizations don't usually don't use spears usually. Maybe. Mr. H exposed this movie. Well, here's the thing. Mr. H exposed a movie he hasn't seen. He hasn't seen it. Okay, I spoke to him as I was on Midnight's Edge in the morning on Wednesday. He hasn't seen the movie. Now I'm dying to see Mr. H's video after he's seen the film. So I will watch that video for sure. But it's like Harlan Ellison said, there's the phrase, everyone has the right to their opinion. And Harlan Ellison would say, you only have your right to an informed opinion. There you go. That's what I'll say about that. Spidey Sensei 72 says every trailer has hip hop in it now, whether it needs it or not. Yeah, agree. It's a way overused. And Holy Hand Grenades, this one is very controversial. I love controversial movies. I love movies that challenge us, that are controversial. I love it.
The thing is, the movie's not controversial. The advertising is controversial.
Right. We're going to get to our special guest in 2 minutes here. Just 2 minutes. So we got to get through these, and we're going to wrap this up really quick. Hodgman says 1970s, also the greatest era of porn. Yes, and great American filmmaking. Solomon Thornton, I read the story of the Dahomey tribe and also heard that Viola Davis said, if you don't see it, you're racist. Did she really say that, or was that some...
I don't remember.
Luad DCM 20. This has a 94% tomato meter and 99% audience rating. Really? I'd say it's a B, more like 80% for me.
Yeah, but I mean, again, Rotten Tomatoes is a percentage of people who like the movie versus didn't like it. And I could see a lot of people liking the movie.
Gabriel Quiroga, my apologies. Hi, Chris and Alan. Seems like white people are always guilt-tripped for having slaves. Does this movie open a discussion that slavery was an industry? Yes. I mean, I don't know if it opens a discussion, but it definitely reveals that.
It's more of a statement of fact. Again, every time they would win a battle, they would take the survivors and then sell them as slaves.
It's like plundering, like, oh, these are our riches, the humans are resources in effect. So I don't think the film sugarcoats that. But it also doesn't hit you over the head. It's just like, that's part of that world. It's also a tragic story of a mother and a daughter.
Yeah, and it's played throughout the story as well.